Welcome to episode 5 of our course on Othello, A-Level English Lit. We'll be looking today at my favourite part of the play. Act 3, obviously, is the middle of the play and is the pivoting point at which Iago really gets his hooks into Othello. The cover image that I've chosen here is a play on some of the imagery that Shakespeare uses in another play. Macbeth, in the eponymous play Macbeth, complains to his wife Lady Macbeth of having scorpions in his mind, of being in mental torment. And that's very much the effect that Iago achieves with Othello in this act, particularly the pivotal Act 3, Scene 3 temptation scene, in which Othello becomes more and more convinced and entrenched with his jealous suspicions. And we may sympathise, or our frustrations may lead us to lose some of that sympathy. I want to have a look here today at the dramatic techniques in terms of patterns within the dialogue that Shakespeare utilises and how that figures to build Iago's manipulation. I would really appreciate it if you're finding this useful to hit like and to subscribe. Those subscriptions and likes are incredibly useful. Hit the bell in order to get notified for our forthcoming Act 4 and 5 episodes and the material that we'll be looking at beyond that in terms of your exam preparation and other critical interpretations. Masters, play here. I will content your pains. Something that's brief, and bid good morrow, General. In comes a clown. There's something of some comic relief here, perhaps. Also Cassio's desperation to ingratiate himself. Why, masters, have your instructions been in Naples that they speak i' the nose thus? How, sir, now? Are these, I pray you, wind instruments? Ay, marry they are, sir. Oh, thereby hangs a tale. Whereby hangs a tale, sir? Marry, sir, by many a wind instrument that I know. But, masters, here's money for you, and the General so likes your music that he desires you, for love's sake, to make no more noise with it. Well, sir, we will not. If you have any music that may not be heard, do it again. But, as they say, to hear music that General does not greatly care. We have none such, sir. Then put up your pipes in your bag, for I'll away. Go! Vanish into the air, away! Dost thou hear, my honest friend? No, I hear not, your honest friend, I hear you. Prithee, keep up thy quillets. He gives some money. There's a poor piece of gold for thee. If the gentlewoman that attends the General's wife be stirring, tell her there's one Cassio entreats her a little favour of speech. Wilt thou do this? She is stirring, sir. If she will stir hither, I shall seem to notify unto her. Do, my good friend. In happy time, Iago. You have been abed, then? Why, no, the day had broke before we parted. I have made bold, Iago, to send in to your wife. My suit to her is that she will know virtuous Desdemona procure me some access. I'll send her to you presently, and I'll devise a means to draw the Moor out of the way, that your converse and business may be more free. I humbly thank you for it. Out goes Iago. I never knew a Florentine more kind and honest. Good morrow, good lieutenant. I'm sorry for your displeasure, but all will sure be well. the general and his wife are talking of it, and she speaks for you stoutly. The Moor replies that he you hurt is of great fame in Cyprus, and great affinity, and that in wholesome wisdom he might not but refuse you. But he protests he loves you and needs no other suitor but his likings, to take the safest occasion by the front, to bring you in again. Yet I do beseech you, if you think fit, or that it may be done, give me advantage of some brief discourse with Desdemona alone. Pray you come in. I will bestow you where you shall have time to speak your bosom freely, to get things off your chest. I am much bound to you. Scene 2, and in comes Othello, Iago, and gentlemen. These letters give, Iago, to the pilot, and by him do my duties to the Senate. That done, I will be walking on the works. Repair there to me. Well, good, my lord, I'll do it. This fortification, gentlemen, shall we see it? We wait upon your lordship. The pivotal temptation scene. Act 3, Scene 3. It's a long one. In comes Desdemona, Cassio, and Emilia. Be thou assured, good Cassio, I will do all my abilities on thy behalf. Good madam, do. I warrant it grieves my husband as if the cause were his. Oh, that's an honest fellow. Do not doubt, Cassio, but I will have my lord and you again as friendly as you were. Bounteous madam, whatever shall become of Michael Cassio, he's never anything but your true servant. I know it. I thank you. You do love my lord. You have known him long, and be you well assured he shall in strangeness stand no farther off than in a politic distance. Ay, but lady, that policy may either last so long, or feed upon such nice and waterish diet, or breed itself out so of circumstance that I, being absent, and my place supplied, my general will forget my love and service. Oft remembered for the wrong thing and lost reputation rather than rewarding loyalty. Oh, do not doubt that. Before Emilia here, I give thee warrant of thy place. Assure thee, if I do vow a friendship, I'll perform it to the last article. This centres around our core theme of loyalty. My lord shall never rest. I'll watch him tame and take out of patience. His bed shall seem a school, his board a shrift. I'll intermingle everything he does with Cassio's suit. I'll nag him and nag him and nag him. Therefore be merry, Cassio. So before we progress any further, Act 3, Scene 3, as I've just said, known as the temptation scene, is the pivotal point at which Iago really plants the jealous insecurities in Othello's mind. I want you to have a go. Ideally with a friend, but on your own into the mirror if you so need, giving a kind of dramatic approach to this. This is going to feel really cringeworthy, and it's going to require you to push through some awkwardly silent tumbleweed moments where people just want to swallow themselves up in the silence or get the giggles. But try reading this scene aloud using gestures to assert very literally what each character wants and what their agenda is. I'm not saying that this will make for some absolutely amazing drama, it wouldn't. But by very deliberately and literally using these gestures, show, obviously, what the agenda of the character is. What is each of their wants? You've got to read it, and it will take a little bit of time to process, so it will be very clunky. You'll have to do it a couple of times, and there'll be a few seconds thinking for each. So just push through that. For each line, choose what the character's agenda is, what are they after, and use what you think the most appropriate gesture. The first one being hooking, a beckoning action, drawing the other character in. Imagine that you've got your hand raised to the camera or to the mirror or to the other character, as though you are, I don't know, helping them back the car up into a parking space. You're waving them toward you. You are beckoning them by waving your hand. The back of your hand is toward them. Your palm is toward you, as though you are gesturing to somebody to come closer. Needling, a very deliberate, repetitive, jabbing, pointing, trying to provoke the other character aggressively. Deflecting, a stop gesture where you raise your palm or even both of them vertically, very strongly to refute, to listen or react to the other character. Appeasing might be two palms together almost in prayer, or slightly twisted like you've just got your hands clasped together, trying to calm the situation or to please the character. Almost like begging, those clasped hands might be sort of gesturing in a kind of arcing toward the other person again and again. Tell me more, two hands in an encouraging gesture, like they're cupping something, like they're carrying a bowl, a basket, a tray, trying to get more information, or withholding, leaning your shoulders back and even perhaps crossing the arms, resisting giving any further information away. This will be really awkward, but it's something that gives you some insight into the characterization. It won't be good drama, but it helps you get at the character's agendas. Once we've done that, when we look at this forthcoming scene, the next half dozen slides or so, I want to have a look at some really close linguistic analysis of Act 3, Scene 3. I want to have a look at their modes of address, by which I mean good morning sir, good morning miss being a mode of address that's polite, or hey up mate, how are going on being something that's more informal. Politeness, modes of address. When Othello addresses Iago as thou, is he actually giving Iago a greater authority, a greater power, a greater status than is due from a general to an ancient or a servant? Who's actually setting the agenda? This scene makes it seem as though Othello is pursuing an agenda of his own volition and mind, when in actuality it's Iago who's planted the seed of doubt, and he pretends that he's reluctant to say anything. He pretends to misspeak and says, I like not that, when we know that he would never make a misstep and say something he didn't mean. Actually, he's a master manipulator. He's very capable of an undiscerned aside when he talks to the audience about his plot. He, by pretending to slip up and say something he didn't intend, sets the agenda, but convinces Othello that he's pursuing his own train of thought. Iago's question here, I only ask but for satisfaction of a thought, no further harm, is intended to cause further harm by sparking Othello's paranoia. Often, his agenda, Iago's, is the opposite of what he actually says. Repetition of the word and concept of honest. What we expect of adjacency pairs. In a classroom, the teacher asks questions and the students respond. Here, instead of our expectation of question being followed by answer, we have Iago either repeat the terminology or another question. So another type of repetition occurs when Iago feigns ignorance, repeating Othello's queries by, as Othello complains a little later, echoing his question. Thus, his manipulations are never quite a direct lie, but convince Othello that suspicion comes from Othello's own mind. What turn-taking is going on here? Who has the dominant amount of time and what interruptions are there? And note the patterns here in terms of agitation and stress in the characters. Are we following iambic pentameter as we would normally expect? Or where is there sharing of sticomythia and half lines that betrays that increasing tension? And often, sticomythia leads to non-regular lines that are in excess of 10 syllables, increasing the cardiogram, the heart rate, and agitation of the scene. Carrying over then from the prior bit of scene that we were just reading, Desdemona had assured Cassio, therefore be merry, Cassio, for thy solicitor shall rather die than give thy cause away. Solicitor, somebody helping you, somebody working for you in a legal sense in the modern day. In this case, it means somebody wanting to help you through friendship, but it can have a sexual implication that's ironic here, a double entendre. In come Othello and Iago and witness these people, Cassio, Desdemona, Emilia, together. Madam, here comes my lord. Madam, I'll take my leave. Cassio leaves because he doesn't think it altogether apt to have been seen here after he's been dismissed from his job only the day before. Why, stay and hear me speak. Madam, not now. I am very ill at ease, unfit for my own purposes. Well, do at your discretion, and Cassio exits. Oh, I like not that. Iago, if he wants to give an aside and say something like, thus do I make my fool my purse, how then am I a villain? He directly addresses the audience in an aside under his breath, and we suspend our disbelief that the other character can't hear it. Here, he is sort of talking under his breath, but loud enough for Othello to hear, because that's what he really wants. He pretends to speak without thinking, and Othello is convinced that Othello is trying to pursue this idea of jealousy. What dost thou say? Nothing, my lord. Or if I know not what. Iago is not one to stammer like this. He's faking it. Was not that Cassio parted from my wife? Cassio, my lord? No, sure, I cannot think that he would steal away so guilty-like, seeing you coming. I do believe 'twas he. How now, my lord? I have... Oh, excuse me, that should be Desdemona. How now, my lord? I have been talking with a suitor here, a man that languishes in your displeasure. A suitor, somebody trying to woo you, somebody who wants to court you. There's a double entendre there that Desdemona inadvertently is falling into the trap of, making it sound flirtatious or sexual where that's not the intent. Who is do you mean? Why, your lieutenant, Cassio. Good my lord, if you have any grace or power to move you, his present reconciliation take. For if he be not one that truly love you, that errs in ignorance and not in cunning, I have no judgment in an honest face. I prithee call him back. So there's some real dramatic irony here. If he isn't somebody that made a mistake in ignorance, not trying to pull one over, then I don't judge an honest face. She has correctly judged Cassio, to be honest, but they're not judging Iago's honesty terribly well. When he hence now? Yes, faith, so humbled that he hath left part of his grief with me, to suffer with him. Good love, call him back. Not now, sweet Desdemon, some other time. But shalt be shortly, the sooner sweet for you. Shalt be tonight at supper? No, not tonight. Tomorrow then. I shall not dine at home. I meet the captains at the citadel. No, the Sympathy here. But shall it be shortly? The sooner sweet for you. Shall it be tonight at supper? No, not tonight. There's an agitation here, and Desdemona's insistence is something that Iago intends to use against her in Othello's mind. Why then tomorrow night, or Tuesday morn, or Tuesday noon or night, or Wednesday morn? But prithee, name the time, let it not extend 3 days. I' faith, he's penitent, he's repentant, he knows he's done wrong and he wants to make recompense. And yet his trespass, in our common reason, save that they say the wars must make example out of her best, is not almost a fault to incur a private check? When shall he come? Tell me, Othello. I wonder in my soul what you would ask me that I should deny, or stand surmammering on. What, Michael Cassio that came a-wooing with you? And so many a time, when I have spoke of you dispraisingly, hath ta'en your part to have so much to do to bring him in. By a lady, I could do much. Prithee, no more. Let him come when he will. I will deny thee nothing. So there are some real ironies here. She reminds him of their long-standing friendship, but also that this being a time of him, Othello, coming a-wooing. There are some parallels here that are dangerous. Othello at this point will still not say no to his wife on any level. It could go Cassio's way if Iago doesn't sow his poison. Why, this is a boon. This is not a boon. 'Tis I should entreat you wear your gloves, or feed on nourishing dishes, or keep you warm, or sue you to do a peculiar profit to your own person. Nay, when I have a suit wherein I mean to touch your love indeed, it shall be full of poise and difficult weight, and fearful to be granted. I will deny thee nothing. Whereon I do beseech thee, grant me this, to leave me but a little to myself. Shall I deny you? No, farewell, my lord. I won't ever say no to you, darling, just don't say no to me on this. Emilia, farewell, my Desdemon, I'll come to thee straight. Emilia, come, be as your fancies teach you, whate'er you be, I am obedient. Excellent wretch, perdition catch my soul, but I do love thee, and when I love thee not, chaos is come again. And so will chaos in his mind come, torments, what Macbeth calls scorpions within the mind. My noble lord, what dost thou say, Iago? And so we reach the point, the pivotal point, at which the dynamic irrevocably shifts. Did Michael Cassio, when you wooed my lady, know of your love? He did, from first to last. Why dost thou ask? But for a satisfaction of my thought. No further harm. Why of thy thought, Iago? Note the speed with which the two actors must respond to one another there in a shared Sympathy line. No further harm. Why of thy thought, Iago? no further harm. Why of thy thought, Iago? 10. We have the dramatic irony of knowing why. Iago fakes not wishing or being reticent again, like he did when he said that he would not have his tongue do disservice to Cassio, that he intends to plant this doubt. I did not think he had been acquainted with her. Yes, and went between us very oft. Indeed? Ay, indeed. Discern'st thou aught in that? Is he not honest? Honest, my lord? Honest, ay, honest. My lord, for aught I know. What dost thou think? Think, my lord? Think, my lord, by heaven thou echoest me, as if there were some monster in thy thought too hideous to be shown. Thou dost mean something. I heard thee say even now thou likest not that, when Cassio left my wife. What didst not like? So this is where I wanted you to be bringing in linguistic features like what kind of adjacency pairs are there? Is question being answered with answer, or simply repetition of an evasive repetition of the question? Who is setting the agenda? Iago evades and at the same time wants to be seen to be evading. He is acting. He is acting lying when actually he didn't want to. He wanted to reveal what he wants to say, but he doesn't want to be seen to be. I've made that really complicated now. He is pretending he doesn't want to say anything about Cassio, when in fact that's the seed that he wants to plant, to make it clear. And, we expect adjacency pairs in which, question is followed by answer, but here they're contravened. Iago repeats or responds with another question. Othello goes on to say, and when I told thee he was of my counsel in my whole course of wooing, thou criedst, indeed, and didst contract and purse thy brow together, as if thou hadst shut up in thy brain some horrible conceit. If thou dost love me, show me thy thought. My lord, you know I love you. I think thou dost. And for I know thou'rt full of love and honesty, and waste thou words before thou givest them me. Therefore these stops of thine fright me the more. For such things in a false disloyal knave are tricks of custom, but in a man that's just, they're close dilations working from the heart that passion cannot rule. But he is a dishonest knave, and not a man of justice. For Michael Cassio, I dare be sworn I think he is honest. I think so too. So if I had a klaxon to ring an alarm now, it would be at this point to highlight what Iago epitomizes here being the absolute height of dramatic irony. He says, men should be what they seem. He is the most duplicitous, lying character in drama. And yet he says here, men should be what they seem on the surface, be honest. Or those that be not, would they might seem none. Certain men should be what they seem. Why then, I think Cassio's an honest man. Nay, yet there's more in this. I prithee speak to me as to thy thinkings, as thou dost ruminate and give thy worst of thoughts the worst of words. Good my lord, pardon me, though I am bound to every act of duty, I am not bound to that all slaves are free to. Utter my thoughts? Why, say they are vile and false. So, in the most stark dramatic irony, he pretends here to not want to say it. He says, I am bound by duty to you, but even slaves are permitted to keep their thoughts to themselves. If I utter my thoughts, what if they are slanderous or libel, and I am thinking something bad about Cassio, but it's not true? He knows it's not true. He knows it's vile. He knows it's false. But he makes it seem like something that Cassio, or Othello rather, imperatively needs to know. He thinks that Othello thinks that he would be being done a disservice if a friend didn't tell him, in this case, that his wife was allegedly cheating on him. Don't use the term cheating in your analysis, please. It's a modern colloquialism that drives me mad. Infidelity, lack of faithfulness, having an affair. As where's that palace whereinto foul things sometimes intrude not? Who has that breast so pure, but some uncleanly apprehensions keep leets and law days in session sit with meditations lawful? Even somebody as good as me might have nasty thoughts that are wrong in their head occasionally, he says. Othello, having been manipulated by this point, says, Thou dost conspire against thy friend Iago, if thou but think'st him wrong and mak'st his ear a stranger to thy thoughts. If you think somebody's doing something wrong against me, you must tell me. I do beseech you, I beg you, sir, though I perchance am vicious in my guess, as I confess it is my nature's plague to spy into abuses, and oft my jealousy shapes faults that are not, that your wisdom from one that so imperfectly conceits would take no notice, nor build yourself a trouble out of his scattering and unsure observance. It were not for your quiet, nor your good, nor my manhood, honesty, wisdom, to let you know my thoughts. The pivotal scene of the play is Act 3, Scene 3, which, from the outset, with Iago's, I like not that, as Cassio withdraws, to the end, when Othello has accepted the charge against Desdemona and planned her death and Cassio's, is fewer than 500 lines long, probably less than half an hour of stage time. It's extraordinarily bold. Desdemona aids the process, twice commending Iago's honesty, a conviction of which in the other characters is now essential to his design. At her exit, Othello speaks of his love for her and the chaos that will follow if his love should ever cease. Shakespeare certainly ain't subtle. It is exactly at this point, line 93 of Act 3, Scene 3, that Iago goes to work, sowing doubts about Cassio. The dialogue is spare, at first sounding almost like a casual chat between a superior, who his interlocutor calls thou, and a subordinate who must use you, but who, without ceasing to be deferential, can count on his boss's trust. So the idea here of politeness principles and modes of address, and on a long acquaintance. In the first exchange, the pentameters are broken up, sticomythia, giving the passage a peculiar uneasiness, which is reinforced by the triple honest and triple think, especially where the two usages collide. Here we are only at the beginning of a storm, no high colours, no blasts of rhetoric. The words honest, honest, and think, think. Thinking thoughts have to do all the work. Iago's a master manipulator, and so he plants these doubts without ever explicitly lying, but for one or two things along the way. So we need to start bringing in assessment objective 5, other critical interpretations. So with thanks to the EMC for Frank Commode's analysis and critique of this particular scene, Commode suggests that one reason for Iago's preoccupation with seeing is his crude, voyeuristic attitude to sex. It becomes clear in this masterly dialogue that Iago's interest in sex is to watch others doing it, or at least to think about them doing it. It was important, therefore, to develop these ideas of seeing, these increasingly coarse descriptions and conjectures. One other argument that Commode makes about this scene is that it marks a shift in Othello's own language, in which he takes over the language of Iago, such as his influence has been. Before the temptation scene, it's possible to imagine Othello using the vocabulary of Iago, or it is, excuse me, I think that should be, it is not possible to imagine Othello using the vocabulary of Iago. Indeed, he rarely uses language appropriate to prose, because it would be too crude. He's more eloquent. He's more polite. It is essential to the character that until he collapses, he speaks grandly. Sorry if that's a spoiler, you will see that forthcoming with Othello. Later come the anguished repetitions of Handkerchief. That will make sense later if you've not already had a brief read through. The questioning of the sense in which Iago uses the word lie, and the pathetic stress on honesty, the unaccustomed langue vert slang picked up from Iago, and the vile berating of Desdemona, whom he goes on to call a whore, which suits his action in striking her. There is a profound change in Othello's language from this point in the play onward that is very much as a result of Iago's manipulations. So where we left off with before those critical quotations from Commode was Iago saying that he doesn't wish to let Othello know his thoughts. What dost thou mean? Good name in man and woman, dear my lord, is the immediate jewel of their souls. Here's another stark piece of dramatic irony. He has previously falsely reassured Cassio by saying reputation's an idle and false imposition, oft got without merit and lost without deserving. I'd agree with him that reputation is sometimes got without merit. I'd agree that it's sometimes lost without deserving. I'd agree with the point he made that one only loses one's reputation if one feels a lack of confidence in having it. That's perhaps part of hubris, too much pride. But here he says exactly the opposite. Good name, good reputation is the immediate jewel, the prized, valuable possession of their souls. Who steals my purse steals trash. It's my reputation that's important. Something that he won't betray even when he's caught out at the end of the play. 'Tis something, nothing. 'Twas mine, 'tis his, and has been slave to thousands. But he that filches, that steals from me my good name, exactly what Iago is guilty of, dramatic irony, dramatic irony, dramatic irony. Key quote, even if I haven't highlighted it, robs me of that which not enriches him, but makes me poor indeed. By hen, I'll know thy thoughts. You cannot, if my heart were in your hand, nor shall not, while 'tis in my custody. Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy, which is exactly the thing that Iago wants to prompt this jealousy. Shakespeare here invents the idea of jealousy being the green-eyed monster, which doth mock the meat it feeds on. That cuckold lives in bliss, who certain of his fate loves not his wronger. Oh, whoops, I've accidentally slipped up and talked about cuckoldry when I didn't intend that at all. But oh, what damned minutes tells he o'er, who dotes, yet doubts, suspects, yet strongly loves. Oh, misery! He wants to torture Iago with the idea that there's some sort of betrayal, key theme, going on, but he doesn't want to say what it is. Poor and content is rich, and rich enough. If you're poor and you don't know you're wronger, then you're actually rich. But riches fineless is as poor as winter to him that e'er fears he shall be poor. Good God, the souls of my tribe defend from jealousy. Why is this? Think'st thou I'd make a life of jealousy? I follow still the changes of the moon with fresh suspicions? No. To be once in doubt is once to be resolved. Exchange me for a goat when I shall turn the business of my soul to such exsufflicate and blown surmises, matching thy inference. 'Tis not to make me jealous to say my wife is fair, feeds well, loves company, is free of speech, sings, plays, and dances well. Where virtue is, these are more virtuous, nor from mine own weak merits will I draw the smallest fear of doubt of her revolt, for she had eyes and chose me. No, Iago, I'll see before I doubt. When I doubt, prove, and on the proof there is no more but this, away at once with love or jealousy. I am glad of this, for now I shall have reason to show the love and duty that I bear you with franker spirit. Therefore, as I am bound, receive it from me, I speak not yet of proof. So he manipulates Iago into thinking, Othello into thinking that he has persuaded Iago to come out with this. Othello, perhaps rather too self-assuredly, says that he will not be full of jealousy and doubt until he sees, that theme of seeing, the desire to see, proof, also going on to another level of meaning of the desire to see sexually, depending on character. So Othello says he's not naturally jealous and that he's confident of Desdemona's virtue, but Iago warns him to watch her, as she's been capable of deception in the past. This is a complete and total opposite, antithetical contradiction to just the last page saying, "Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy." He now says suspiciously, "Look to your wife. Look to your wife. Observe her well with Cassio. Wear your eyes thus, not jealous, nor secure. I would not have your free and noble nature out of self-bounty be abused. Look to it. I know our country disposition well. In Venice they do let God see the pranks they dare not show their husbands, a place of prostitution, a place of brothels, courtesans. Their best conscience is not to leave undone, but keep unknown. Dost thou say so? She did deceive her father, marrying you. Harks us back to, in Act 1, Brabantio's warning, "Look to her more. She did deceive her father, and may thee." And Othello at that point proudly says that he has full faith in her fidelity and her loyalty. Loyalty versus betrayal, key themes. Don't use the term theme in your answers, it's clunky, but bring it back to these things in a more sophisticated way. She did deceive her father in marrying you, and when she seemed to shake and fear your looks, she loved them most. And so she did. Why, go to then. Notice the short lines, the stichomythia, the agitation. She that, so young, could give out such a seeming to steal her father's eyes up so close as oak. She must have been good at deception. He thought 'twas witchcraft. But I'm much to blame. I humbly do beseech you of your pardon for too much loving you. Iago has very explicitly asserted that he hates the Moor more than once. I'm bound to thee forever. I see this hath a little dashed your spirits. Not a jot, not a jot. I' faith, I fear it has. I hope you will consider what is spoke comes from my love, but I do see you're moved. I am to pray you not to strain my speech to grosser issues, nor to larger reach than to suspicion. I will not. Should you do so, my lord, my speech should fall into such vile success as in my thoughts aim not at. Cassio is my worthy friend. My lord, I see you're moved. No, not much moved. I do not think but Desdemona's honest. Long live she so, and long live you to think so. And yet, how nature erring from itself? Ay, there's the point. As, to be bold with you, not to affect many proposed matches of her own clime, complexion, degrees, she could have married somebody of the same class, aristocratic status, white skin. Is she now straying? Whereto we see in all things nature tends, for one may smell in such a will most rank, foul, disproportion, thoughts unnatural, but, pardon me, I do not in position distinctly speak of her, though I may fear her will, recoiling to her better judgment, may fall to match you with her country forms, and happily repent. Farewell, farewell. If more thou dost perceive, let me know more. Set on thy wife to observe. Leave me, Iago. My lord, I take my leave. Why did I marry? This honest creature doubtless sees and knows more, much more than he unfolds. My lord, I would I might entreat your honour to scan this thing no farther. Leave it time. The opposite of what he really wants. He wants him to look into it more. Although 'tis fit that Cassio have his place, for sure he fills it up with great ability, yet if you please to hold him off a while, you shall by that perceive him and his means. Note, if your lady strain his entertainment, if Desdemona tries and tries again to get Cassio back into his job quickly, you might be more suspicious. With any strong or vehement importunity, much will be seen in that. In the meantime, let me be thought too busy in my fears. As worthy cause as I have to fear, I hold her free. I do beseech your honour. Fear not my government. I once more take my leave. And so we come to one of Othello's soliloquies, in which we glean that he has completely misplaced his trust. He thinks that Iago, is honest and loyal. This fellow's of exceeding honesty, and knows all qualities with a learned spirit of human dealings. If I do prove her haggard, if she has betrayed me, it would show in her face, it would show in her appearance. Though that her jesses were my dear heartstrings, this fits together two pieces of imagery. One's heartstrings and jesses, leather straps to secure a bird of prey wanting to tie down his wife. I'd whistle her off and let her down the wind to prey at fortune. If she has betrayed me, I want rid of her. Haply, for I am black, and have not those soft parts of conversation that chamberers have, or for I am declined into the vale of years. Yet that's not so much. She's gone. I am abused, and to my relief must be to loathe her. Previously, in Act 1, he confidently argued that he had wooed Desdemona when he was defending himself to Brabantio, and he falsely self-deprecated about his lack of ability with speech in Venetian white society. However, on the last page, Iago sowed this seed of doubt of not being of their clime, complexion, of not being white, of not being young. And here he becomes self-referentially racist. He views himself, Othello, through the lens of white Venetian society as less than, as black. Because I'm black, I haven't the soft parts of conversation that chamberers in the courts and palaces of Venice do. I'm declined into the vale of years, I've descended into the valley of age, is the imagery there. She's gone, I'm abused, and my only relief will be to loathe her. O curse of marriage, that we can call these delicate creatures ours, a possession, but not their sexual appetites. I had rather be a toad. And live upon the vapour of a dungeon than keep a corner in the thing I love for others' uses. He can't stand the idea of some other man making sexual use of Desdemona. Yet 'tis the plague of great ones, prerogatived as they are, less than the base. 'Tis destiny unshunnable like death. And even then this forked plague is fated to us when we do quicken. Forked, having the cuckold's horns, the mark of deceived husbands. Again, masculine toxic identity, shamed with other men's reputation for having had a wife that strayed. Notice the acute, the grave accent above the E there. You'll see that crop up sometimes. I'm conscious of the fact that this PDF also brackets things rather inadvertently at times. Ignore that. But when there is a grave accent, so that forked becomes pronounced forked, it's just a means of pronunciation to make the 10-syllable pentameter work, should you be interested. Look where she comes. And in comes Desdemona and Emilia. If she be false, heaven mocks itself, I'll not believe it. If she appears honest on the outside, why should he doubt her? How now, my dear Othello? Your dinner and the generous islanders, by you invited, do attend your presence. I am to blame. Why do you speak so faintly? Are you not well? I have a pain upon my forehead here. He perceives a headache from where the cuckold's horns are growing. Faith, that's with watching. Twill away again, but let me bind it hard. Within this hour it will be well. Your napkin is too little. Let it alone. He waves away that she's trying to mop his forehead with a handkerchief, and inadvertently they don't notice that it's fallen to the ground. That seems a tiny detail, but it's really important later. Come, I'll go in with you. I am very sorry that you are not well. Emilia then says, picking the handkerchief up, I am glad I have found this napkin. This was her first remembrance from the moor. My wayward husband hath 100 times wooed me to steal it. This will later become part of what Othello was calling for earlier. He won't be racked with suspicious doubt until he has evidence. And this will become evidence. Ocular proof. Proof to be seen with the eyes. And this concept of seeing with the eyes is made all the more voyeuristically sexual by Iago. But she so loves this token, this handkerchief, for he conjured her she should keep it ever, that she reserves it evermore about her. To kiss and talk to. I'll have the work taken out and give it Iago. What he will do with it, heaven knows, not I. I nothing but to please his fantasy. This is a point in the play that has never really sat well with me. I'm not convinced that Emilia, as a character, from what we know of her, would do this negative thing of stealing the handkerchief rather than returning it. But perhaps she considers a handkerchief something insignificant, whereas actually it will become a small thing, so small a web, as to enmesh these characters. In comes Iago. How now? What do you here alone? Do not you chide? I have a thing for you. You have a thing for me? 'Tis a common thing. Ha! To have a foolish wife. Oh, is that all? What will you give me now for that same handkerchief? What handkerchief? What handkerchief? Why, that the Moor first gave to Desdemona, that which so oft you bidst me steal? Has stolen it from her? No, faith, she let it drop by negligence. And I, to the advantage being being here, took it up. Look, here it is. A good wench, give it to me. What will you do with it, that you have been so earnest to have me filch it? Oh, why, what's it that to you? If it be not for some purpose of import, give it me again. Poor lady, she'll run mad when she shall lack it. Be not known on it. In other words, don't acknowledge that you know where it is. I have use for it. Go, leave me. I will in Cassio's lodging lose this napkin, and let him find it. Trifles light as air are to the jealous confirmation strong as proofs of holy writ. This may do something. The Moor already changes with my poison. Dangerous conceits are in their natures poisons, which at the first are scarce found to distaste, but with a little act upon the blood burn like the mines of sulphur. I did say so. Look where he comes. Not poppy nor mandragora, nor all the drowsy syrups of the world shall ever medicine thee to that sweet sleep which thou otest yesterday. False to me. Why, how now, General? No more of that. Avaunt! Begone! Thou hast set me on the rack. He feels that he's being tortured. I swear 'tis better to be much abused than to know but a little. She could be having an affair and he'd rather he didn't know than to know that she'd even had the slightest illicit kiss and be jealous about it. How now, my lord? What sense had I of her stolen hours of lust? I saw it not, thought it not, it harmed not me. I slept the next night well, fed well, was free and merry. I found not Cassio's kisses on her lips. He that is robbed, not wanting what's stolen, let him not know it, and he's not robbed at all. I'm sorry to hear this. I had been happy if the general camp, pioneers and all, had tasted her sweet body, so I had known nothing. He would have been happy if she was in a sexual relationship with every member of an army or battalion, so long as he didn't know. But the suspicion is driving him mad. Oh, now, forever, farewell the tranquil mind. Farewell the tranquil mind. Farewell relaxation. Think of that image of the scorpion on the actor playing Othello's head. Macbeth, there are scorpions in my mind. Farewell content. Farewell the plumed troops and the big wars that make ambition virtue. Oh, farewell. Farewell the neighing steed and the shrill trump and the spirit-stirring drum, the ear-piercing fife, the royal banner, and all quality, pride, pomp, and circumstance of glorious war. He uses warfare, semantic field. Farewell all of his former glory if he has had his pride stolen from him by his wife's infidelity. Oh, you mortal engines whose crude throats the immortal Jove's dread clamours counterfeit, farewell, Othello's occupation's gone. Is't possible, my lord? Villain, be sure thou prove my love a whore. Be sure of it. Give me the ocular proof that one can see with one's eyes, or by the worth of mine eternal soul, thou hadst better been born a dog than answer my naked wrath. Or even waked wrath, excuse me. If you don't prove what you have planted in my mind, you won't have a life worth living to answer my anger. Is't come to this? Make me to see it, or at the least so prove it that the probation bear no hinge nor loop to hang a doubt on, or woe upon thy life. My noble lord, if thou dost slander her and torture me, ne'er pray more. Abandon all remorse. On horror's head horrors accumulate. Do deeds to make heaven weep, all earth amazed, for nothing canst thou to damnation add greater than that. Oh, grace, oh heaven forgive me. Are you a man? Have you a soul or sense? God be with you. Take mine office, O wretched fool that lives to make thine honesty a vice. O monstrous world, take note! Take note, O world! To be direct and honest is not safe. I thank you for this profit, and from hence I'll love no friends, if love breeds such offence. Nay, stay, thou shouldst be honest. I should be wise, for honesty's a fool, and loses that it works for, by the world. I think my wife be honest, and I think she is not. I think thou art just, and I think thou art not. He directly contradicts himself over and again. He's completely tormented. I'll have some proof. Her name that was as fresh as Diane's visage, Diane, the Roman goddess of chastity, virginity, i.e. Desdemona only having had sexual relations with her husband Othello, her face is now begrimed and black as mine own face. If there be cords, or knives, poison, or fire, or suffocating streams, I'll not endure it. Would I were satisfied! So the imagery here is of torture. If there were cords, i.e. something tying him up, or something he was being whipped with, or knives cutting him, poisons, being burnt, suffocation, he cannot endure this torment and torture. He needs to be satisfied with knowing one way or the other. I see you are eaten up. I do repent me that I put it to you. You would be satisfied? Would, nay, I will. And may, but how? How satisfied, my lord? Would you, the supervisor, grossly gape on? Behold her topped. In the last page, Othello required ocular proof, and he flies to the assumption that the handkerchief is ocular proof later on. Here, though, Iago makes it more sexual. Would you only be satisfied by beholding her topped, by beholding Cassio physically on top of her in the act of sexual copulation? Hence this idea that we call him the voyeur, the pornographer. Topped as well, perhaps equating to his earlier crude sexual tupped, the black ram tupping your white ewe in calling up to Brabantio early in Act 1, Scene 1. Death and damnation, oh! It were a tedious difficulty, I think, to bring them in that prospect. Damn them, then, if ever mortal eyes do see them bolster more than their own. What then? How then? What shall I say? Where's satisfaction? Is it possible you should see this? Were they as prime as goats? As hot as monkeys? In the Jacobean mind, goats and monkeys associated with lascivious, excessive sexual appetite and libido. As salt as wolves in pride, and fools as gross as ignorance made drunk. And yet, I say, if imputation and strong circumstance which lead directly to the door of truth will give you satisfaction, you might have it. Give me a living reason she's disloyal. I do not like the office, but sith I am entered in this cause so far, pricked to it by foolish honesty and love, I will go on. He plays the fool. Oh, I wish I hadn't even insinuated this possibility, sir. I lay with Cassio lately, and being troubled with a raging tooth, I could not sleep. This is one of only about 2 or 3 aspects whereby Iago directly lies in a way that another character will later be able to say is a lie, rather than so loosely insinuating something that other people think they came to the idea. He says that he was bunking in with Cassio. There are a kind of men so loose of soul that in their sleeps will mutter their affairs. One of this kind is Cassio. In sleep I heard him say, Sweet Desdemon, let us be wary, let us hide our loves. He's lying that Cassio has sleep spoken. And, come on, Othello, are you thick? Why would Iago have not said this earlier on if he had such clear evidence? And then, sir, he would gripe and wring my hand, cry, "Oh, sweet creature," then kiss me hard, as if he plucked up kisses by the roots that grew upon his lips, then laid his leg o'er my thigh, and sighed and kissed, and then cried, "Cursed fate that gave thee to the Moor. Oh, monstrous! Monstrous!" Now, when we come to Assessment Objective 5, criticism, we may come across queer criticism. It may not be contemporaneous or proper to refer to being gay as queer anymore, but AO5 critics are still known as the school of queer criticism, applying gay or homosexual readings to literature. I don't know what we might make of Cassio throwing his leg over Iago's thigh. Of course, it is a lie, but there are critics who read Othello as being about a repressed sexual desire for Othello in Iago's mind. It's not something that I'm convinced by, but some argue that he only pursues this when Othello is going to be marrying Desdemona. Make of it what you will. I think it might be one that is relatively easy to refute, albeit it's not one that's going to be good to refute in terms of finding evidence elsewhere in the play in a way that will really critically sustain and evaluate for a top band A star. Nay, this was but his dream, but this denoted a foregone conclusion. 'Tis a shrewd doubt, though it be but a dream. This may help to thicken other proofs that do demonstrate thinly. He puts lots of little thin proofs together to convince, a web to enmesh. I'll tear her all to pieces. Nay, but be wise, yet we see nothing done. She may be honest yet. Tell me but this. Have you not sometimes seen a handkerchief spotted with strawberries in your wife's hand? I gave her such a one. 'Twas my first gift. Oh, I know not that. Klaxon. Dramatic irony. Oh, I didn't know that. Yes, you did. But such a handkerchief, I am sure 'twas your wife's, did I today see Cassio wipe his beard with. The Ocular Proof. This will lead Iago to the assumption, or Othello to the assumption, of seeing Desdemona and Cassio together, leaping to the assumption that Iago encourages Othello to do. If it be that, or any that was hers, it speaks against her with other proofs. Oh, that a slave had 40,000 lives! One is too poor, too weak for my revenge. He would have to be reincarnated again and again 40,000 times to wreak his revenge for this. Now do I see 'tis true. Look here, Iago. All my fond love thus do I blow to heaven. 'Tis gone. Arise, black vengeance, from thy hollow cell. Yield up, O love, thy crown and hearted throne to tyrannous hate. Swell, bosom, with thy fraught, for 'tis of Aspic's tongues. He's now full of poison. Aspic's tongues, the tongues of snakes with fangs. He no longer loves, but is full of hate. Yet be content, O blood! 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 Patience, I say, your mind perhaps may change. Ne'er, Iago, like the Pontic sea, whose icy current and convulsive course ne'er feels retiring ebb, but keeps due on to the Propontic and the Hellespont. Even so, my bloody thoughts with violence pace shall ne'er look back, ne'er ebb to humble love, till that a capable and wide revenge swallow them up. Now yon marble hen. Remember, I have encouraged you at the end of each act to insert key quotations that are linking to this imagery. Here, the Pontic Sea and Hellespont are associated in mythology with the drowning of two lovers. If you can't remember that, that doesn't matter. The Hellespont and the Pontic is a former name or a mythological name for something like the Black Sea, where there's the Aegean Strait, a very narrow opening, only one place where you can pass. Here, the imagery of the sea, the recurring motif of the sea, is really important. Rise, icy current, without feeling ebb, means that, like the seashore waves ebb and flow, a wave rushes in and then ebbs backwards and retreats again, his hatred will surge in like a wave and will never ebb. The imagery of the sea here conveys that there will never be any reduction of the powerful surge, the passion, the lack of control of his hatred. Notice as well that he has already referred to swell bosom with hatred. The swell, like the rushing in of the waves of the sea. Link the imagery of the sea to the theme of disloyalty, jealousy, hatred. So Othello here has actually kneeled to convey that he intends commitment to this hatred. In the due reverence of a sacred vow, I here engage my words. He vows to have revenge, and Iago, kneeling with him, do not rise yet. Witness, you ever-burning lights above the stars, you elements that clip us round about. Witness that here Iago doth give up the execution of his wit, hands, heart to wronged Othello's service. Let him command, and to obey shall be in me remorse. What bloody business ever. I greet thy love, not with vain thanks, but with acceptance bounteous, and will upon these 3 days let me hear thee say that Cassio's not alive. Tell me, Iago, that you are going to kill Cassio for me. My friend is dead. 'Tis done at your request. But let her live. Damn her, lewd minx. Oh, damn her, damn her. Come, go with me apart. I will withdraw to furnish me with some swift means of death for the fair devil. Now art thou my lieutenant. I am your own forever. Iago therefore admits or commits to kill Cassio. Othello is going to find some means of murdering Desdemona. Othello has just given the position of lieutenant to Iago all the more strongly. By the end of Act 3, Scene 3, Othello is completely convinced of Desdemona's infidelity, having not asked her and having not asked Cassio. I always like to ask my students at this point to what extent they retain sympathy, if any, for Othello. By the end of this scene, Othello's convinced. Do you still retain sympathy for her? For Othello? To what extent do you have any sympathy or not? Is he somebody who now you are purged of your sympathy and empathy with him? Are you frustrated, or do you still sympathise that he is a victim of Iago, despite the fact that he should have done X, Y and Z to ascertain the facts? Is he a tragic victim because of Iago's wrongdoing, or is he the engineer of his own fate? Scene 4, in comes Desdemona, Emilia and the clown. Do you know, Sirrah, where Lieutenant Cassio lies? I dare say he lies anywhere. Why, man? He's a soldier, and for me to say a soldier lies, 'tis stabbing. Oh, go to! Where lodges he? To tell you where he lodges is to tell you where I lie. Can anything be made of this? I know not where he lodges, but for me to devise a lodging and say he lies here or he lies there were to lie in mine own throat. Can you inquire him out and be edified by report? I will catechise the word for him, that is, make questions and by them answer. So there's some comic relief here, but it also conveys the idea of the multiple ways that you might interpret the term lie. Lying down, sleeping, Cassio having sexual relations with Bianca, or lying, telling deceitful untruths. Seek him, bid him come hither, tell him I have moved my lord on his behalf, and hope all will be well. To do this is within the compass of man's wit, and therefore I will attempt the doing it. The clown is supposed to be unintelligent. For a bit of historic context, a clown was not just an entertainer in the parameters that we think of a clown today. A clown would actually have been somebody with some kind of special needs, some kind of mental disability, what we would not by any stretch now refer to as retarded anymore, but then would have been seen in that derogatory way to be laughed at as much as laughed with. Where should I lose that handkerchief, Emilia? I know not, madam. Believe me, I had rather have lost my purse full of crusados. And but my noble Moor is true of mind and made of no such baseness as jealous creatures are, it were enough to put him to ill thinking. Is he not jealous? Who, he? I think the sun where he was born drew all such humours from him. Look where he comes. I will not leave him now till Cassio be called to him. How is't with you, my lord? Well, my good lady. Oh, hardness to dissemble. How do you, Desdemona? Well, my lord. Give me your hand. This hand is moist, my lady. It has yet felt no age nor known no sorrow. This argues fruitfulness and liberal heart. Hot and moist. This hand of yours requires a sequester from liberty, fasting and prayer, much castigation, exercise and devout. So he's arguing here, oh, you've got a little bit of a sweat. Are you too liberal? Are you sleeping around? Perhaps you should fast, refrain, pray. For here's a young and sweating devil here that commonly rebels. 'Tis a good hand, a frank one. It tells the truth when I think you're lying. You may indeed say so, for 'twas that hand that gave away my heart. A liberal hand. The hearts of old gave hands, but our new heraldry is hands, not hearts. I cannot speak of this. Come now, your promise. What promise, Chuck? I have sent to bid Cassio come speak with you. So this plays into Iago's hands of, see if she keeps wanting to get Cassio back into his job. I have a salt and sorry rheumatism offends me. Lend me thy handkerchief. Here, my lord. That which I gave you. I have it not about me. Not? I should really pick the pace up there and show the back and forth of the Stichomythia being more agitated. Just to reiterate for clarity's sake then, this imagery of sweating is intended to be him accusing her of guilt, and we're going to up the ante now of the agitation over this lack of the handkerchief. No, faith, my lord. That's a fault. That handkerchief did an Egyptian to my mother give. She was a charmer and could almost read the thoughts of people. She told her, while she kept it, 'twould make her amiable and subdue my father entirely to her love. But if she lost it, or made a gift of it, my father's eye should hold her loathed, and his spirit should hunt after new fancies, that there was magic in the web of this handkerchief, that it would keep her husband a sexual possession, and that if she gave it away or lost it, his eye would stray. She, dying, gave it to me, and bid me, when my fate would have me wive, to give it her. I did so, and take heed on it, make it a darling like your precious eye. To lose't, or give it away, were such perdition as nothing else could match. Is't possible? 'Tis true, there's magic in the web of it. A Sibyl that had numbered in the world the sun to course 200 compasses, in her prophetic fury sewed the work. The worms were hallowed that did breed the silk, and it was dyed in mummy, which the skilful conserved of maidens' hearts. If faith is true, most veritable, therefore look to it well. Then would to God I had ne'er seen it. Ha! Wherefore? Why do you speak so startlingly and rash? It's lost, it's gone, speak, it's out of the way. Heaven bless us, say you, it is not lost. But what if 'twere? How? I say it is not lost. Fetch, let me see't. Why, so I can, but I will not now. This is a trick to put me from my suit. Pray you, let Cassio be received again. Fetch me the handkerchief. My mind misgives. Come, you'll ne'er meet a more sufficient man. The handkerchief! I pray, talk me of Cassio. The handkerchief! A man that all his time hath founded his good fortunes on your love, dangers shared with you. The handkerchief! If faith you are to blame, zoons! And out he storms. Is not this man jealous? I ne'er saw this before. Sure there's some wonder in this handkerchief. I am most unhappy at the loss of it. 'Tis not a year or two shows as a man. They are all but stomachs, and we all but food. They eat us hungrily, and when they're full, they belch us. So Emilia thinks that Othello has been quick to turn from his love of Desdemona. In comes Iago and Cassio. Look you, Cassio, my husband. There's no other way. 'Tis she must do it, and lo the happiness. Go and importune her. How now, good Cassio, what's the news with you? Madam, my former suit, I do beseech you that by your virtuous means I may again exist to be a member of his love. whom I, with all the office of my heart, entirely honour. I would not be delayed, if my offence be of such mortal kind that nor my service past, nor present sorrows, nor purposed merit in futurity come ransom me in his love again, but to know so must be my benefit. So shall I clothe me in a forced content, and shut myself up in some other course to fortune's alms. Alas, thrice gentle Cassio, my advocation is not now in tune. My lord is not my lord, nor should I know him were he in favour as in humour altered. So help me every spirit sanctified, as I have spoken for you all my best, and stood within the blank of his displeasure for my free speech. You must awhile be patient. What I can do I will, and let more I will than for myself I dare. Let that suffice you. She explains Othello is in too angry a mood at the moment. Is my lord angry? Iago asks. We, with dramatic irony, know that he already knows the answer to that. He went hence but now, and certainly in strange unquietness. Can he be angry? I have seen the cannon when it hath blown his ranks into the air, and like the devil from his very arm puffed his own brother. And is he angry? He argues here that he's seen him in the moments of the utmost stress in battle, and he hasn't been rendered to any kind of outward stress that made him lose his cool. Something of moment, then. It must be a big deal. I will go to him. There's matter in it, indeed, if he be angry. I prithee do so. Out goes Iago. Something sure of state, either from Venice, or some unhatched practice made demonstrable here in Cyprus to him, hath puddled his clear spirit, and in such cases men's natures wrangle with inferior things, though great ones are their object. 'Tis even so, though great ones, for let our finger ache, and it endures our other healthful members even to a sense of pain. Nay, we must think men are not gods, nor of them look for such observancy as fits the bridal. Beshrew me much, Emilia, I was, unhandsome warrior as I am, arraigned this kindness with my soul. But now I find I had suborned the witness, and he's indicted falsely. Pray, Hen, it be state matters, as you think, and no conception nor no jealous toy concerning you. Alas the day, I never gave him cause. But jealous souls will not be answered so. They are not ever jealous for the cause, but jealous for their jealous. It is a monster begot upon itself, born on itself. Heaven keep that monster from Othello's mind. Lady, amen. I will go seek him. Cassio, walk here about. If I do find him fit, in a good enough mood, I'll move your suit, and seek to effect it to my uttermost. I humbly thank your ladyship. Out goes Desdemona and Emilia, and in comes Bianca. Save you, friend Cassio. What make you from home? How is't with you, my most fair Bianca? I'faith, sweet love, I was coming to your house. And I was going to your lodging, Cassio. What, keep a week away? 7 days and nights? That reminds me, I talked about a sennight as being a half fortnight, half of 2 weeks being 1 week. 7 days and nights, sennight, just as a clarification that I was right in the first place. 80 hours, and lovers' absent hours more tedious than the dial 80 times. Oh, weary reckoning. Pardon me, Bianca, I have this while with leaden thoughts been pressed. but I shall in a more continuate time strike off this score of absence. Sweet Bianca. He gives her Desdemona's handkerchief. Take me this work out. Oh, Cassio, whence came this? This is some token from a newer friend. To the felt absent now I feel a cause. Is't come to this? Well, well. So she is accusing him of this handkerchief having come from another woman. He's passed it on to her, saying, can she take the embroidery out of it because it's too womanly for him? Go to, woman! Throw your vile guesses in the devil's teeth! From whence you have them? You are jealous now that this is some mistress, some remembrance. No, by my faith, Bianca. Why, whose is it? I know not neither. I found it in my chamber. I like the work well. Ere it be demanded, as I like enough it will. I would have it copied. Take it and do it. Leave me for this time. Leave you? Wherefore? I do attend here on the general, and I think it no addition nor my wish to have him see me womaned. Why, I pray you? Not that I love you not, but that you do not love me. I pray you bring me on the way a little, and say if I see you in soon at night. 'Tis but a little way that I can bring you, for I attend here. But I'll see you soon. 'Tis very good. I must be circumstanced. Something I've meant to say every episode, and I keep being remiss in forgetting, is if you've got any questions, by all means pop them in the comments below, or any remarks or comments that you want to make. You might want to refute an interpretive point that I've made. You might want to add something further from the text, or a further interpretation, or refine one of my points. By all means do so. Equally, for any of the last few episodes, Act 2 in Episode 4, Act 1 in Episode 3, all the material that I've done on approaches to the play or the socio-historic context, by all means drop questions in the comments below, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I'll do my damnedest to get back to everybody. I am planning to be away quite a bit over the course of September, so bear with me. Don't be in despair if it seems to take me a while, but do ask all the questions you want. And thus we reach the end of Act 3. As ever, go back to your imagery chart. The imagery chart is even more important than usual. Loads of motifs have been established in Act 1 and 2. Even more repetition of imagery linking to core themes, the imagery of sea, the imagery of battle, the theme of jealousy, betrayal, loyalty, honesty, and a great many more need to be very much logged in detail at this point to help you with the close analysis embedded within your AO1 core thematic argument, bringing in critics eventually as and when it becomes relevant. I am not begging you to do this for no reason. Don't do it if you don't feel you can, but it's of huge benefit to me, if this has been of mutual benefit to you, that you like, subscribe especially, and hit the bell for notifications for forthcoming episodes. It gets growth for my channel. Push it out to your social media as well, if you so will. That might seem a little bit geeky, but it really is of dear help to me. And I sincerely hope to see you next time for episode 6 on Act 4.